What's going on, y'all? This is Jason. I've got my 91 Camaro here, fooling with it again. As I told you before, the shop that I normally use, they feel like they've resolved the problem with the fuel injector fuse blowing, but I don't feel like I've gotten to the end of the problems that were caused by the other mechanic shop that worked on it. So what I've done here is I've taken off taking off my tubes that go to my air filter, going to my throttle body. I've unplugged this vacuum line, and I was just looking at it, maybe taking some pictures of it, trying to assess my situation, how I'm going to get to it. So what I'm going to do is, the car's not dying, but it still doesn't have the power that it should. Yes, if it's 3.1, it's weak anyway, but it should have more power than it does. It feels like it's really choked down. So the idiots that fooled with the car before, that were just guessing at it, throwing stuff at it and wasting my money, they had put a fuel pump on it, a distributor, and a fuel pressure regulator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this fuel pressure regulator again. I don't feel like I'm seeing all the symptoms that I'm seeing online, other than it doesn't start that, I mean, it starts okay, and it's not as bad off as some I've seen, and but the weak and poor acceleration, that is definitely a problem. And so what I'd seen was that you can have a drop off in fuel pressure. So I had, before it went in the shop and they had diagnosed it with the dead injectors, I had hooked up a fuel pressure gauge to it to make sure I was getting proper fuel pressure. And if you want to do that, that's right here. You take this off and you hook your fuel pressure gauge up to it. Okay, so I had hooked it up and I was getting fuel pressure, but I turned the key to the on position, and while it was running, I had pressure. I don't remember exactly what it was. It's been a little while ago now. And also, but whenever I would turn the key on, the pump would prime up, but then it would the pressure would die. So, and I don't remember if that was just me bumping the key to position and it would prime up and then go away. Like I say, it's been a little while, but tell you what I've done is I have bought a fuel pressure regulator, and I'll have to take all this off the upper intake. So I'll have to take these screws out, take this off, take the bracket off, unplug these, take this loose. This upper part's going to come off, this will come loose, and so this vacuum line goes through here. It's this middle line. So I have seen some places online where they were talking about how it should be leaking fuel, and I would even be able to feel some wetness up in here. And I drove it to work today. I drove it down the road to O'Reilly's and then came home, and I didn't feel any wetness, but whenever I did take this off, I did smell a lot of gas fumes. So unless all that had just evacuated, I doubt wetness was just going to sit there. I don't know. But anyway, it goes. There's a fuel pressure regulator right here. Got to get all this junk off, and I gotta replace it. To me, it looks like they used some sort of sealant, and that I know of, there's not supposed to be any kind of sealant used. So maybe they used an excessive amount, and it's making it not perform correctly, or maybe it was just a bad fuel pressure regulator. I don't know. It just adds more fuel to the fire. Why I hated dealing with that shop. So I'm on limited time. It's supposed to rain tomorrow about lunchtime. So what I've got to do, I've probably only got about 30 minutes of daylight today. So I'm going to get on it and do as much as I can and get this taken loose and Go see if I can find my Haynes or Chilton manual, because all this stuff's probably gonna have to be torqued back down just right. So let me get with it. See this garbage here? If I was working on this car, or the shop that I normally use is working on this car, this wouldn't be here. Got more respect for my car than that. All this orange garbage everywhere, like a bunch of slop house. All right, bye. Okay, I'm gonna take the battery loose since I'm gonna be unplugging some electronic stuff. I don't know, that's what they always say do, but I don't see why it's so important. But I have not unplugged the battery before, fooling with some things, and I have arced out across the alternator, so that wasn't fun. Kind of spooked me. Okay, these are 10mm. I'm having a little trouble with this one because Moron's worked on it. And these are going to be a 13. Okay, there's two of them, one down here, one up here. This gasket's kind of raunchy. As far as it's got a lot of soot on it. Now that's coming from here. This isn't that old, EGR, but I don't know what the cause for that is, as much as that is. So anyway, I'm going to reuse it. Just thought it was interesting there was so much soot on it. This is 13mm also. You know, I don't know if it's possible, but I'm gonna see if I can avoid taking this off, being that this is attached to the upper part of the intake manifold. So hopefully I can avoid taking this off. So that means I'll move on to these. These are 13s, and then I'll move on to these and take these off. I'll pull these hoses off. Watched a guy do this video the other day, and he said, oh, you don't have to take these hoses off. You can just take them off over here. Well, what's the difference between taking them off here and taking them off? I don't know. If you weren't aware, and I had forgotten, if you loosen up this screw, it also, the screw comes all the way through the AC and goes to this bracket. So I'm just going to take all this off. That way I can take this off too. Okay. Nighttime will probably catch me, and I'll probably get back out here in the morning, because I don't want to get to a point where I'm pulling this off and I've got all this exposed and I run out of daylight. So I'm going to get so far, and then I'll quit, and I'll get back on it in the morning. Almost missed one. These are 13mm also. So the nut on bottom, then you got the stud, and then the nut that goes on top and holds your air conditioner bracket on. So another teaching thing, man. Look, it's been years since I've had this off. Okay, so my dad passed away. Maybe, I know it may sound funny that I don't remember the year, but I don't try to make an anniversary of when my dad passed away. So it's been maybe 5 years ago. So, and it'd been many years before that. Oh, let's see, job I'm at, I've probably been there 14 years, and it was at the job I was at before that, before we tore into this. Well, not this engine, the engine that was in here before that. But anyway, that was a big learning experience for me. So what these are, this is like a stud with a nut in the middle, and it's made onto it. Okay, I forgot about that. So, see. Probably if you buy them now, it would be like a stud and a nut separately. I don't know, it's, you know, some of these original parts may be hard to get. It does look like somebody may have used an anti-seize, which is good. That means I'm going to end up using anti-seize on it also. So when you put all these back into aluminum, you want to use some anti-seize on the threads, okay? Because you don't want that. You don't want these. You don't want these bolts to lock up in that aluminum. Okay. Get back to work. So I'm looking at some more. This isn't fresh anti-seize, which it should be fresh anti-seize if the folks that had pulled this upper intake off had put it back together right. So my guess is the anti-seize on here is from when my engine was put in several years ago. Well, it looks like I was wrong. I'm not going to be able to take the entire, the throttle body and the intake off together, because these hoses are attached to the bottom of the intake. The front of the throttle body. So it'll be a little bit more time consuming. take this off right here. Just pull it forward, comes right off. I have yet to figure out why all this gasket maker stuff is all over the place, but it's like right here. It's not on this gasket here, this homemade gasket that they made, but it's all over junk that it shouldn't be on. Unless they put it on here just to hold this on. I don't know, I don't get it. What's up, y'all? Looks like I'm not gonna be working on the car today. I kinda knew it was gonna be a chance for rain today. I was gonna get up and work on the car for a couple hours this morning, but I couldn't get motivated, especially whenever I knew how cold it was outside. It's 45, chance of rain. It's like on and off. I don't know, maybe I will, maybe I won't. But anyway, I had to go to AutoZone and buy these. It was like $15.99 just for this. I thought about buying another set that was like $28. It was called Sure Built. But looking at these are the like security torques or anti-tamper torques to get this fuel pressure regulator out. But the other one, oh man, they were terrible. The holes weren't in the center, and some of the torques weren't formed right. Obviously, that was just cheap junk. All right, well, I wound up with the Duralast, $15.99 for this set. And this isn't a magnetic bit, but it does hold the bits pretty good. So I'm happy with that. I hate it whenever I've got a bit that it doesn't stay in there good. Okay, so I decided I was going to tough out the cold anyway. Even though I'm going to take these last two out. So I left the cap on so no critters or anything would get in this intake during the night. And being this sitting out in the yard, so I'm going to take this one out, another one out. The intake should come right off, and then I'll be able to get down to the fuel regulator. All right, so I got the upper intake off, and I found out where that oddball screw came from. It came from right here. That was already missing. So the two screws that were here, they didn't match. So, you know, just more proof that never let retards work on your vehicle. So it's probably not required, but what I'm going to do is give myself a little bit more room to work right in here, so I can move this loom over. So I'm going to take this bracket loose. It's right here. It's probably a 10 millimeter. Let's see, and it is. All right, I'll get that one off. So what I did is I bought a regulator, a fuel pressure regulator, and also bought a fuel filter. So the regulator was standard ignition, and that was $91.99, and the fuel filter was $19.99. I've got them at O'Reilly's. I'll get the fuel filter put on whenever I get a chance, but today's regulator day. All right, here we are. Okay, so we got a bunch of O-rings. I've put one of these on a long time ago. So I got a bunch of O-rings. To tell you the truth, I don't know why. We have a fuel pressure regulator. I think it appears to be fine. And so I don't know what the O-rings are for. I don't know if there's any directions in here to say what they're for, but we'll find out. Okay, the directions say absolutely nothing about the O-ring. It does give a nice little diagram that shows you what everything is and a tightening sequence. But nothing about the O-rings. At least that I'm gonna reread it. Okay, so I got it off. An unusual color here. It was stuck to this part, and I don't know if that's bad. And this thing doesn't look. I mean, it looks new. Like it really looks a lot like the one I just took, the one I just bought. But I tell you what, I did learn an important lesson on taking this off. So obviously, you know, it's got 6 screws, and you got a spring, and it's under a lot of pressure. So don't think that you can, you know, if you take all the screws off on one side and you get down to these 2 are more difficult to get to, so you're going to leave those 2 for last. Well, the problem is it's got this spring pushing back, and So therefore there's going to be a lot more tension on these screws when you're taking them out. You really wouldn't think that'd be that great, being that it'd be in aluminum. So what I ended up doing, I knew that was the case, so I ended up putting another screw back in here and tighten it down some and tighten off on all three of those evenly, so I would get rid of some of that tension that was on that screw, and they all came out easier. So I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why this thing is so nasty. It's like somebody glued the top to it. My dad wouldn't be able to stand that. He would be taking this thing apart. He would all be nice and clean and everything. Spirit of Dad is going to hate me putting this back on like this. All right, so I just cleaned the face of this thing up real good. Let me tell you something I did. So I didn't go through the normal bleed down procedure that you're supposed to go through. Kind of broke the rules there. I did unhook the battery, and I did take the cap off here and press down and see if any fuel would come out. But just the way that the car's been acting, I didn't think any fuel was going to come out. It wasn't going to be under any pressure, and I was right. I pressed down on the needle and absolutely nothing came out. All right, so I'm gonna get this new fuel pressure regulator put on here. Hey, if y'all know anything about this washer I'm leaving off, that'd be nice to know. I didn't mean washer, O-rings. So the O-rings must be depend on what kind of car, what kind of application it's going to. I just hate getting stuff in a package and not knowing what it goes to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try just putting this in place, and then I'm gonna put the top on it, and then there's an order that you're supposed to put the screws in. You cross them, kind of like you do when you're, tighten up a tire, except for this one's got 6, not 5, like this car does. So it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that kind of thing. So this thing's got a lot of pressure on it, so I've been pushing down on it, just kind of hopping back and forth between the two and gradually working it down. I didn't want to tighten this one all the way down, then this one, so I'm back and forth. Look, y'all, I don't 100% agree with what that thing said about the tighten them down. Maybe like your final tighten down, but as much pressure was against here, what I did is I went ahead and put the rest of the screws in and then gradually tighten each one of them down. All right, y'all, there's not much for threads here, so make sure you don't over tighten them when you're screwing them down, okay? Hate for you to strip that aluminum out. Okay, those are on, and I'm gonna start putting everything back together. I put this in. I wish I was putting this back on, but I don't have another screw to replace the one where I took that from. So the morons that worked on my car, they had this screw in here. So anyway, I guess they'll be okay for that. Just sit there. Gotta go to the shop and get some anti-seize. Putting all these bolts back in this aluminum. All right, it's acting like it wants to rain on me. It's getting kind of cold. So I got this sitting back up here. I've got these two hoses hooked back up. I had already tightened this up down here. I got this sitting on top. I already got my anti-seize. Put a couple of these bolts in and see if I can start lining some things back up. Let me show you something I see on this regulator. This is the one I took out, and I don't know that it matters. I don't know how big an area it sits on, but it looks like it's supposed to be pretty stinking smooth, right? We see that edge there? It almost looks like it was dropped. Flat spot on this side. And then here on this side, it looks like it's kind of raised up. I mean, that would cause it to not seal off. You have bleed by or something. I'm hoping for some good results here. All right, so I got anti-seize on this one and all these and these, and I've got them in place. I just got them hand screwed in, and I'm going to go inside and warm up because I don't see how y'all do this living up north. It's not but like 40 something degrees and I can't stand it. All right. What's going on, y'all? This is turning into a 3-day video. The rain ran me off whenever I was working on it on Saturday. It finally picked up and never let loose for the rest of the day. So finishing up here on Sunday. Got all these upper intake bolts tightened down. This is the bracket that goes to the air conditioner. Getting started with, I'm gonna put the nuts on these, and then it's got a guard that goes across the front here. We'll put that in, and we'll continue to finish getting this thing put back together, and hopefully we'll have good results. Okay, I just put the 2 throttle body bolts back in. I'm going to reattach these 2 cables, this one here and this one. I got to get the clip, and hopefully I won't have any trouble getting that one on because it's an unusual little clip that's holding that thing on. Put this back in, rehook this stuff back up. So this little clip went on far easier than I expected it to. Just slip right on and clip right in place. You know, by taking it off, you got to take a screwdriver and try and prise the clip off the head, and then take it off. So it goes back on a whole lot easier. Okay, y'all, got it all buttoned up, got everything on it. Batteries on, batteries hooked up. So time to crank it up and see what she does. So the results are, I'm not sure. It is better, but I still haven't found the exact culprit of, here's the difference between the way the car was before I started having issues back in September. There is a couple things that are different. I do have different plugs in it than I had before. That could make it feel different. And also, I do have a different muffler on it than I had before. I had a Dynamax on it before, and now I have a Walker Quiet Flow. I don't know. Next thing up is going to be the fuel filter. I'm pretty sure the fuel filter has been on here, let's see, 23,000 miles. So fuel filter was put in here the first time I had a fuel pump put in. So that'll be next up. All right. Thank y'all for watching this video. Hey, we did do something though. We walked through, I do think it's performing some better. It's obvious that other one was damaged, and you know, they had been dropped. But also, anyway, so we did walk through changing a fuel pressure regulator. We did get that accomplished, no matter whether that 100% solved our problem or not. We went through the steps of how to do that. There are other videos on YouTube that show you how to test and see if that's a problem. I'm kind of chasing a ghost. I'm after things that have been done by a mechanic shop that I didn't believe in, and by the looks of that one, that fuel pressure regulator, that it was dropped. So I mean, that is a good thing to replace, being that it was damaged. I just hate that, you know, that's $100 down the drain, you know, for one that was dropped, that was put in here. So, hey, thank y'all for watching this video. Thank you for taking the time. And obviously, if you're watching this video, you needed to watch something on a fuel pressure regulator. So that's what we went through. And hey, I hope y'all have a good day, and good luck with your vehicle. All right, talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye. Hey y'all, here's the funny thing. When it comes down to it, we are dealing with a 3.1. You know, this is an old motor. Not much horsepower there. So, you know, maybe one of these days we'll upgrade. What do you think? This is a rebuilt motor. It was put in here about 23,000 miles ago. So it's not like I'm still dealing with the original. All right, later y'all.